Hi everyone, and a very warm welcome to another edition of the Vet Method podcast, where we bring team training concepts to independent veterinary practice owners who want to grow revenues through a high-performance team. My name is Sanjay Mangabai, and I'm delighted to be joined today by Nigel. Good morning to you, Nigel. Welcome.
Good morning, Sanjay.
So whereabouts are you today?
Sat in the study with the sea crashing in the background in Salisbury.
It looks like the Maldives. Okay. Nigel has been in the teaching profession for many years and is an experienced educator. He is also an avid supporter of the Saints, Southampton Football Club, and in his spare time he enjoys a round of golf and taking long walks. So the title of the podcast is Learning from an Educator's Perspective, and we're going to talk about that for the next 7 minutes. Okay, Nigel, our time starts now. So question number 1, what makes a good teacher, and what's the biggest challenge that teachers face?
First and foremost, the ability to hold the attention of a group of young people or students, someone who shows enthusiasm and is an inspiration to those young people. The biggest challenge is probably initially the control of the group and getting the respect, that mutual respect between students and teacher.
Mm-hmm. Wow, that's interesting. So,
and if I can just add, handling others with a calm authority, whilst treating with respect, and remembering that respect is earned and not something which can be demanded.
Okay, that's really interesting. The whole idea of respect from both, for the teacher and probably for the students as well in the class. Good. And I can imagine that having a group of students is quite challenging in itself.
It certainly is. The bigger the group, the more challenging it is, because you have a group dynamic. But sometimes the group dynamic is an important aspect because actually you learn off of each other. It's not just teacher-led, it's actually student-driven as well.
Oh, they feed off each other. Yep. Perfect. So that leads us nicely onto question number 2, Nigel. What makes a good student?
First and foremost, someone who shows interest, someone who is enthusiastic, and over time, as you get to know the student, obviously demonstrates a willingness to learn.
Okay, so that willingness to learn is important. Okay, thank you for that. The next question, what's the one tip you could give students, in particular adults?
An aspiration, you've got to show that aspiration to succeed through hard work. No one gets anywhere without working hard. And I think that has to be developed. It comes from within you and has to be developed through you.
Okay. So question number 4, that again leads us nicely onto question number 4. What do you think is the primary inspiration for working hard and wanting to excel?
When the students have to understand that success is not something that they can actually buy. It's attained through application and hard work. And the knowledge that a future career is dependent upon it. The marketplace is a very competitive marketplace, and certainly within the veterinary profession, as I understand it, it is exceedingly competitive. So if you want to get to the top, you've got to work hard to achieve it.
Yeah, absolutely true. In the words of Jim Rohn, there's no elevator to success. You've got to take the stairs.
Absolutely right.
Yeah.
Absolutely right.
Okay, and question number 5. What do you think is the best way to ensure student understanding?
I mean, this to me is an interesting one, because I think clearly going through the sort of learning the information side of it, it's a regular self-testing, both on paper and actually verbally asking students to give their answers. I think if a student is asked to give a demonstration or give a presentation, obviously you can pick up whether they're understanding things actually as much as you can if you're asking them to write an answer on a paper. Learning is about building blocks, and it's very important from the very beginning to have a solid foundation and develop that, but actually regular self-testing, either verbally or in written format.
Okay, that's really interesting, because somebody once told me the best way to learn is to teach it. So that whole idea of doing, of demonstrating
Correct.
what you've just learned. Okay, perfect.
One little input there, if I may, very quickly. One of the things, and the teacher doesn't always know the answers, and I think that's quite important. And sometimes, I think sometimes I used to get some difficult questions in class, and I would say to the students, I would very cleverly say, does anyone know how to answer this particular question? Not admitting that I didn't know it. And there usually was someone there who could come up with a brilliant answer. And actually that was a way of developing learning within the group environment.
Wow, yeah, that's a great insight. So it's about a kind of collaborative approach.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
Okay, brilliant. So let's go to question number 6. We're almost done. What concept, book, program, or talk has been most impactful in your experience, Nigel?
That's a difficult one, because obviously in the very early stages of learning the subject matter, in my case geography, there are lots of books one uses, and there are lots of talks, and it wasn't so much IT in those days. Now you've got the internet. The most impactful thing in my experience is actually working alongside people and taking the trouble to listen to them and take the best bits from their experience or their knowledge, and listen and learn. Listen, develop in your head the best things that they've said and take it forward. It wasn't about books. Obviously books are important. Obviously concepts are important, but it's people driven.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. You know, one of the things that we teach vets in the consulting room is this idea of active listening. Don't listen to respond, listen to understand. And then, you know, once you have an idea of what the problem is, then you can actually formulate a plan. But yeah, that's really important. That's it's very insightful, this whole idea of listening. Finally, question number 7. What should I have asked you, Nigel, that I didn't?
Well, that would be very rude of me to suggest anything that man of your caliber, sir, should ask me. Fundamentally, and I'm going to give an answer to a question which you haven't asked, and I'm not going to actually ask the question, but I'm going to tell you what I think is important in career development.
Okay.
I think that you go into a particular role as a vocation, and particularly in veterinary science, and in my case in teaching, you go into it as a vocation first and as a job second. And it's the love of the job and the passion for it which should be most important. Clearly we all want to earn a living, but if we're not passionate about it and we can't demonstrate that passion for it, we're not going to achieve anything. If we just go to work just to take the money home at the end of the week, we might just as well not be there. The other thing to say is personality of the student and the character of the student, particularly where you're dealing with people, will always shine through. And one's personality development and character development are vital. And that means having interests outside of the workplace. Good interests, whether it's sport, whether it's music, whether it's drama, whatever it is, take some other interest in your life, because that will develop your personality.
Absolutely. I mean, there's a lot in there. You know, you can't teach passion. I can't teach an attitude.
No.
You know, they've got to develop that.
That develops.
Yeah. And I think the outside interest thing is so relevant, especially right now. You know, you've got to have something outside of work, outside of the thing you do every day, to give you some balance in life.
Correct.
Yeah, good. Oh, wow, Nigel, that was incredibly insightful. I really enjoyed that, and I'm sure our audience is going to get a lot of valuable information from that. And I just want to say once more, thank you very much.
You're very welcome, and very best wishes.
Thank you.